Today we're going to show you how we go about removing tires for tire changes, repairs, brake jobs, etc. Stuff like that. Just go through the procedures so that you don't have any hiccups when the time comes to go put those tires back on again and all your hoses don't line up anymore. So we'll just go start with that. The first thing we're going to do is shut off all of our wheel end valves. So make sure they are all shut off on all the wheels, and we go through that. All the rest of them, make sure they're all shut off. And then we're going to drain down our main hose. So we go back over to our main valve box here. And we were doing the drive tires, which will be our lower connection. What we do is we take the cap off the Schrader valve with the Tireboss system shut off. Otherwise we're going to have airflow through there. And then we can just drain down that line. Okay. So by draining down that line, we just make sure that we don't have a big blast of air come out when we pull all of the hoses off. Okay. So now to prepare this so we can get the tires off, we're going to remove our main orange hose from our rotary union, and as well we'll disconnect our lines going down to the tire valves. Okay, so now what we're going to do, we make sure we jack up the tires, and we're going to remove all of our wheel nuts to remove the tires. But the first thing we're going to do, before we're going to do that, is we're going to mark our studs so that we know which position those wheels go back onto in relation to our hub. Easiest way to do that is take note of where our outside valve stem is, and you go up, you'll see it corresponds right between two of our studs. So I found the easiest way to do that, we just mark those two studs. Then we know when we go to put those tires back on again, they're going to go back into that same position. So we don't have to fight with it, rotating the tires around to try to find that spot again where the tires are going to go back onto. So now, as you can see, if you want to need to do your brakes or what have you, all the pieces will slide off. You do not have to remove that manifold unless you have to go inside the hub to do the bearings, etc. And if you do, just make note, I mean, you're only going to have the one set of studs that will remain. There'll be bolts on there, so they'll still be able to put that manifold back into the same place. It's about that simple. One thing we want to mention, when you're doing tire repairs and stuff like that, if you replacing tires or doing anything, one thing to make sure is always remember to remove the valve cores from the stems before you put the tires back into service, hook up the hoses, etc. If the valve cores aren't removed, the tires will not be able to inflate and deflate, and they will just stay at the constant pressure. So always remove those valve cores anytime you're doing repairs to the tires, and the tire shops, make sure they're aware of that, please. Thank you. And then once you're all done with doing whatever work you need to be done on it, putting it back together again is just simple as reversing what we've just done. Keeping in mind that now on the inner side, that inside wheel valve will go opposite our marked studs. If you wanted to, you could mark them two different colors. But it's just as simple, just put it back on again. So when we put it back on, let's see, we line up our valve stem in between our two marked studs. And when I put all that back together again, everything will line up just as it was when we pulled it apart. Okay, most important part, re-torque those wheels. So now we can put our hardware back onto our manifolds. We'll go ahead and we'll do that. And then turn on all of our wheel valves, all the system. Check all of the hose fittings, the rotary unions, all of our connections. Watch for here, the end of the rotary unions, once in a while when they get aged a little bit, you may find some small cracks starting to develop. Check those. You can check our valve stem connections, look for leaks in there as well, all through the system. Go back, simple way to kind of check in for ones in the inside ones that you can't get at a lot of times. Shoot a little soap and water inside the hose. It's pushed right up tight against there. If you've got any air leaks in that, you'll see small bubbles starting to form. And that is about it. We're right back to where we started from. And everything is good to go, and as you saw, no problems trying to hook up all the hoses again.